Have you noticed how people look at you lately? The silence that fills the room when you speak? It's not confusion, it's conviction. Something in your presence exposes what's hidden. Your words carry a weight that cannot be explained, only felt. The atmosphere shifts when you open your mouth, because heaven has placed the spirit of divine wisdom within you. Chosen one, this is not a coincidence. You didn't just get smarter. This is a spiritual activation. Heaven has entrusted you with the mantle of Solomon, the power to discern, to see through deception, to hold peace where others hold panic. This wisdom is not borrowed, it's birthed. It flows from the same source that created the stars, and it's awakening inside you now. There's a reason you see things others miss, a reason people misunderstand you or even feel uneasy around you. They sense the authority in your discernment, the purity in your perception. You don't just think you see. You don't just understand, you know, because your knowing comes from God. You've walked through seasons where your insight felt like a burden, where your clarity made you lonely, where your depth was mistaken for arrogance. But God says, I hid you for a time so I could train your tongue and tune your vision. I wasn't punishing you, I was preparing you. You had to learn that wisdom without humility becomes pride, and discernment without love becomes judgment. That's why He refined you in silence before revealing you in power. And now, chosen one, heaven declares, the veil is lifting. You are stepping into your Solomon season, where your words will carry creative force, where your understanding will unlock doors not just for you, but for others. People will come to you for answers they can't find anywhere else, not because of your intellect, but because of your anointing. This is why some fear you, not because you threaten them, but because you awaken what they've tried to hide. They can't manipulate you, because truth stands beside you. They can't outthink you, because revelation moves through you. You are not here to compete, you are here to clarify. You are heaven's reminder that wisdom still speaks, and its name is divine understanding. So, as this revelation unfolds, stay with me. What you are about to hear will confirm what your spirit has been whispering for months. You are not ordinary, you are appointed. If this word stirs something in your soul, act on it in faith right now. Comment 777 below as your agreement with divine wisdom. Like this message as your yes to heaven's teaching. Share it so another chosen one can awaken to their Solomon calling. And subscribe, because what's coming next is deeper than knowledge, it's impartation. God's chosen ones, you hold Solomon's wisdom. Are you aware of your power? Part 1. The unseen chessboard. When heaven moves before you do. They thought they could outsmart you, but they never stood a chance. They studied your silence, mistook your gentleness for ignorance, and assumed that quiet meant naive. They tried to manipulate your kindness, to weaponize your empathy, to deceive your heart with false intentions. But what they never understood is that you were never standing alone in those moments. When they came against you, they weren't battling your intellect. They were colliding with divine intelligence itself. They thought they were playing chess, but the board was already tilted in your favor. Every betrayal was a redirection, every setback a sacred setup, every scheme another entry in heaven's record of reversal. They thought they were outmaneuvering you, but they were only fulfilling prophecy. A fool believes he's winning until he realizes he was never even in the game. Have you ever felt that strange moment when everything seemed to fall apart, only to realize later it had been falling into place all along? That is the signature of the divine, the kind of order that only looks like chaos until hindsight reveals its design. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, declares Isaiah 54:17. And that promise isn't a hope, it's a law written into your spiritual DNA. They question how you always land on your feet, how you rise after blows that would have buried anyone else. They whisper, how does this one always know? They mistake your calm for calculation, your discernment for suspicion, but your wisdom isn't learned, it's remembered. It flows from a place older than time, a frequency woven into your spirit, long before your birth. You don't think your way through storms, you feel your way through them. You navigate not with logic, but with legacy. Solomon carried this same vibration, the knowing that cannot be taught. When he prayed, "Give me understanding that I may discern between good and evil," 1 Kings 3-9, heaven didn't give him new information, it activated what was already written inside him. You too carry that same pattern, the blueprint of divine perception that turns confusion into clarity. They tried to rewrite your story without realizing it was sealed. They thought they could rearrange the stars without consulting the sky. What they called luck was alignment. What they called coincidence was divine choreography. While they plotted in the shadows, heaven was already 3 moves ahead, redirecting every intention back to its rightful sender. There is something sacred about how the universe protects its chosen. It doesn't always shield them from battle, it teaches them to see beyond it. You sense deception before it speaks. You feel motives before they unfold. Sometimes you ask yourself quietly, why can I see what others can't? The answer lies in your design. By wisdom, the Lord founded the earth. By understanding, he established the heavens, says Proverbs 3:19. That same creative intelligence runs through you. You are wired to divine order, not to human illusion. They cling to illusion because illusion feels safe. It allows them to pretend they're in control. But your clarity is confrontation. Your very existence reveals the imbalance in others. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere adjusts itself. People who live on pretense feel exposed without knowing why. They sense truth moving through you like light through glass. And while you never intend to threaten, truth always threatens those who hide from it. Leonardo da Vinci once said, "The noblest pleasure is the joy of understanding." Yet for those who've built comfort on deception, understanding feels like judgment. You became that mirror not by choice but by calling. You didn't condemn them. You simply reflected what was already there. They assume power is earned through control, through manipulation, through noise. But your power wasn't earned, it was bestowed. You don't lead by domination, you lead by vibration. You don't seek control, you carry calm. That's what unnerves them most. You walk in silence they can't interpret, and peace they can't counterfeit. Have you noticed how they label your patience as passivity, your humility as confusion, your forgiveness as weakness? It's because they measure strength by reaction, while heaven measures it by restraint. Be still and know that I am God, whispers Psalm 46:10, and in that stillness your spirit listens to strategies no human can intercept. The truth is, you no longer live at the same altitude as their warfare. When they throw stones, you're already standing above the storm. You've learned that peace is not retreat, it's elevation. The steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord, reminds Psalm 37:23, and every misstep they hoped would destroy you only repositioned your feet closer to destiny. It's divine geometry. Every angle of betrayal forms part of the architecture of your purpose. The universe itself becomes a chessboard where heaven moves before you do. Have you noticed that even your silence carries strategy? That even when you do nothing, things still turn in your favor? That's not coincidence. That's divine order asserting itself through you. The philosopher Lao Tzu once wrote, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened." You, chosen one, have entered that enlightenment. You now understand that your awareness is your armor, and your calm is your crown. You no longer fight to be understood, because you finally understand yourself. Perhaps in your quiet moments you've wondered, if this wisdom isolates me, is it still a blessing? The answer whispers softly through your spirit, yes, because isolation is often the classroom of elevation. The world may not understand the language of your spirit, but heaven does. And so, you stand unmoved, unbothered, unstoppable. You've realized the divine doesn't need to defend what it's already destined. The same universe they tried to manipulate now writes the final word with unshakable precision. Let them plot. Let them believe they're winning. The day will come when they finally understand they were never playing against you. They were playing against the divine itself. And the divine never loses. Part 2. The Code of Knowing. You were never guessing, you were remembering. They call it coincidence. But you, chosen one, you've been reading the code the whole time. They say it's guessing, you call it seeing. They think it's luck, you know it's legacy. Every time they mock your intuition, the truth shows up, wearing your name as confirmation. You've been right so many times that even silence now sounds like prophecy. They stumble through life as if walking on cracked sidewalks, unaware of the patterns beneath their feet. But you, your steps are deliberate, steady, as though the map of every turn was drawn in your spirit long before you were born. That's because it was. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, whispers Jeremiah 1-5. And somewhere deep down, your soul remembers that knowing. You don't just see people, you feel them. A look, a hesitation, a flicker in the tone of voice, the stillness that comes right before a lie. You read it all. You don't need evidence because your spirit reads vibrations faster than words can travel. They call it paranoia. Heaven calls it perception. Ever notice how the room changes when truth walks in? The manipulators grow quiet. The liars lose rhythm. The ones who live behind masks suddenly seem uncomfortable under your gaze. Your awareness disarms them because it's not analysis, it's recognition. You don't study behavior, you sense intention. That's what separates you from the world that only sees surfaces. They've always said you overthink. What they mean is, you see too much for their comfort. They can't stand the mirror your presence becomes. You don't argue, you don't expose, you simply know. You've been living in truth so long that anything false feels like static in your soul. When you walk into a celebration, you can hear the one offbeat clap, the one smile that doesn't reach the eyes. Everyone else sees harmony. You hear dissonance. You're like a musician who can't unhear when an instrument is out of tune. It's not that you seek flaws, it's that you were designed to sense frequency. Isaiah 11:2 says, "The spirit of wisdom and understanding, of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord shall rest upon you." That is the very code you carry, the divine data imprinted in your design. You are tuned to a higher current, an inner resonance that decodes the unseen. Have you ever asked yourself why you can feel someone's true motive before they even speak? Why your chest tightens when deceit walks in, or why you feel peace before miracles appear? It's because your intuition isn't guessing, it's remembering. Your soul recognizes what your eyes have yet to see. They fear that, because if you see through illusion, they can no longer control perception. They call your clarity arrogance, your sensitivity drama, your solitude distance. But deep down, they know you're right, and that knowledge unsettles them. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, says Luke 8:17, and through you, that scripture breathes. You've become the living proof that the unseen governs the seen. It's the same way light bends before it's visible to the eye. You feel the curve of truth before it reaches the surface. The artist Claude Monet once said, "I must have flowers, always, always." He wasn't talking about decoration, he meant he needed beauty to survive. You're the same, you need truth like air. Falsehood suffocates you. They come to you for advice, only to bristle when you speak it. They ask for your insight, yet resist your accuracy. Why? Because truth sounds comforting until it costs illusion. And when you deliver truth, you don't wrap it in softness, you wrap it in light. And light, no matter how gentle, still blinds those who've lived too long in shadow. There's something almost divine about how you read timing. You can sense seasons shifting in the spiritual atmosphere before the evidence arrives. It's like standing on a beach and feeling the wind shift before the storm forms on the horizon. Everyone else still takes selfies. You're already watching the tide pull back. To everything there is a season, reminds Ecclesiastes 3:1, and you feel those seasons in your bones. Your mind doesn't process reality the way theirs does. You see in layers, not in lines. You sense energy the way an architect senses, structure every emotion, every word, every pause builds or fractures something invisible. Sometimes you wonder, is it a blessing to see so deeply, or is it the heaviest kind of calling? Because the truth is, it can feel lonely to always know. There's a kind of exhaustion that comes from understanding too much too soon. You can't unsee the patterns, you can't unknow the truth. But wisdom, like light, demands responsibility. That's why he gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding, says Daniel 2:21. Not to those who seek power, but to those humble enough to carry truth with grace. So while others mock what they can't measure, you walk in quiet assurance. You no longer need to prove you're right, because time always does it for you. When the truth finally surfaces, and it always does, they remember who saw it first. They replay your words in their minds like prophecies they didn't believe. The philosopher Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." You, chosen one, are the consciousness in a world addicted to sleep. Your presence alone forces awakening, and for those still hiding from themselves, that feels like threat, not healing. They tell you to lighten up, to stop reading so deep. But when their worlds crumble, you're the one they seek in whispers. They trust your intuition when it saves them, but deny it when it convicts them. It's the price of carrying sight. You are both needed and misunderstood. But here's what you must remember. This awareness is not a burden, it's a sacred assignment. You weren't designed to fit blindness, you were designed to guide through it. The light of the body is the eye, says Matthew 6:22. If your eye is clear, your whole body is full of light. You are that clear eye in a world clouded by confusion. So, beloved one, stop doubting your discernment. Stop watering down your depth just to make others feel safe in their shallow waters. You weren't meant to shrink to fit their comfort. You were meant to expand to fit your calling. You read energy the way prophets read signs, instinctively, naturally, effortlessly. Maybe the real reason they resent you isn't because you're different, but because deep down they know they could have been too, if only they had listened when Spirit spoke. Let them call it coincidence. Let them laugh at your hunches, dismiss your foresight, minimize your knowing, because behind closed doors they still follow your lead. They still echo your cautions. They still remember your words every time the truth unfolds. You don't need them to believe you. You just need to keep trusting the code that was written in your soul before the world tried to erase it. You're not paranoid, you're prophetic. And they don't hate your insight, they fear the mirror it holds up to their blindness. So, walk gently, wise one. Speak only when heaven moves through you, because when the truth finally arrives, as it always does, they'll remember who saw it first. And that remembrance will echo as both revelation and repentance. Part 3. The Sword of Silence, the power they never saw coming. They thought you were quiet until your silence struck like a sword. They mocked the stillness in your spirit, mistaking it for fear, for hesitation, for weakness. They didn't know that silence, in the hands of the chosen, is not emptiness, it's engineering. They saw no movement, so they assumed defeat. But wolves don't howl when they hunt. They wait. They watch. They calculate. And when the moment comes, they strike not wildly, but with precision. They thought your quiet meant confusion, that you didn't know what to say. They mistook your pause for paralysis. But what they never realized was that you weren't stuck, you were storing. While they ran their mouths, exposing every insecurity and every fracture in their false confidence, you were studying. You clocked every shift in tone, every nervous glance, every slip of the tongue. You weren't passive, you were patient. Silence, to the unwise, looks like surrender. To the awakened, it's strategy. Even a fool is considered wise when he keeps silent, whispers Proverbs 17:28, a line you've lived without ever quoting. You understood that silence reveals what noise conceals. Those who can't master their tongue are ruled by it. Those who can rule their world. You watched as they filled the air with noise, desperate to prove something, to be seen, to be right. And all the while, you stood calm, unreadable, untouchable. There's something dangerous about quiet people. It's not what they say, it's what they choose not to, and that's what unsettles them. Your restraint confronted their chaos. Your stillness magnified their insecurity. Have you ever noticed how people addicted to control can't stand the ones they can't read? It terrifies them, because they can't manipulate what doesn't react. They press, provoke, poke, hoping to trigger you into exposure. But you, chosen one, understood what they didn't. Silence isn't submission, it's sovereignty. In the art of war, restraint is the rarest skill. You learned to conserve your energy, to wait until the noise around you burned itself out. You didn't fight for attention, you waited for revelation. Because timing, not talk, is what separates the ordinary from the divine. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still, says Exodus 14:14, and your stillness was never weakness. It was weaponry. You've seen it, haven't you? The way a single sentence from your lips can silence a room filled with chaos. The way a single stare can disarm manipulation faster than argument ever could. That's because your silence carries frequency. It's not emptiness, it's presence. The air shifts when you choose to speak, because the words you hold aren't casual, they're calculated. They carry weight because they're forged in the fires of discernment. The ancient philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." You are living proof of that. You stopped reacting, and that's when you began commanding. Your calm didn't come from ignorance, it came from mastery. You mastered yourself, and in doing so, you mastered the atmosphere. There's a sacred kind of intelligence hidden inside silence. It's not passive, it's prophetic. You began to understand that in a world obsessed with noise, silence is rebellion. When you stopped explaining, you began expanding. When you stopped arguing, you started ascending. In quietness and trust shall be your strength, echoes Isaiah 30:15, and you've seen that truth unfold in real time. Still, there were moments, weren't there moments when your silence felt heavy, misunderstood, even painful? You wondered, am I doing the right thing by saying nothing? Should I defend myself? Should I speak? But heaven whispered back, no, the truth defends itself. And so you waited, and while you waited, their noise revealed them, lies exposed themselves. Arrogance collapsed under its own weight. You don't need to shout when your energy already speaks. People began to sense it, the quiet, unspoken authority in your presence. They couldn't name it, but they could feel it. Their spirits trembled before their minds could process why. Because deep down, everyone recognizes truth when it walks in. Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, "There is a time to be silent and a time to speak." You've mastered the rhythm of both. You've learned when to stay still like water and when to move like a wave. And when you move, it's never random, it's revelation. The artist Michelangelo once said that every block of marble holds a statue inside. His job was simply to chip away what didn't belong. That's how your silence works. Each quiet moment chips away the unnecessary distraction, ego, noise, until only truth remains. They thought you folded, but you were sharpening. They thought you withdrew, but you were ascending. They thought you were finished, but you were only forming. The quiet season they mocked was your metamorphosis. And now that you've emerged, they can't comprehend how the one they dismissed became the one they can't ignore. You didn't need to announce your transformation. Silence announced it for you. And now they sit in the echo of their own noise, confused about how the one who said the least ended up holding the most power. Have you felt how different your peace feels now? It's heavier, sacred, almost electric. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. You no longer rush to explain what time will prove. You no longer trade presence for attention. You've realized that when you stay grounded in stillness, chaos burns itself out trying to reach you. Silence is your sanctuary now. It's the altar where you recharge your discernment. It's where your spirit meets divine strategy. In that sacred quiet, God whispers what others can't hear. Be still and know that I am God. Repeat Psalm 46:10, the eternal reminder that stillness is not the absence of motion, it's the alignment of motion with divine will. Your silence is not empty air, it's a throne room. When you choose not to respond, you are not avoiding, you are reigning. Every time you hold your tongue, you hold your crown a little higher. So, let them call you mysterious. Let them grow uncomfortable in your presence. Mystery is a language. Heaven speaks fluently. Those who live in truth will understand you without words. Those who live in falsehood will fear you without reason. And perhaps now, as you listen to this, you wonder, will I always have to fight silently? Will I always walk this road alone? But the answer hums softly in the air around you. You are never alone in your silence. The divine sits in it with you. Because the most dangerous soul in the room is never the loudest. It's the one who didn't flinch when everyone else did. The one who waited, watched, and spoke only when heaven moved through them. That chosen one is you. And your silence, your sacred, steady silence, was the sword they never saw coming. Part 4. The Rule Breaker's Anointing. You redesign the game they worship. They panic while you play. Because somewhere along the line, you stopped playing their game altogether and started rewriting the rules. They break their backs trying to win a race you've already redesigned. They memorize the instructions as if they were scripture, cling to blueprints like sacred scrolls, and call anything beyond the ordinary reckless. But you, chosen one, you don't follow maps drawn by the fearful. You walk by divine GPS. They call you unpredictable, but that's only because they can't decode originality. While they sprint in circles, you walk calmly through chaos and somehow still arrive first. They don't understand how you win without competing, how you create without conforming. They call it luck, but luck doesn't bleed, doesn't burn, doesn't stay awake through divine downloads at 3 a.m. Luck doesn't build empires out of ashes. You were never here to follow patterns. You were born to form them. That's why the system never made sense to you. You could feel its limits like tight walls pressing against your spirit. While they clung to safety, you were drawn to the wilderness, the place where God whispers to builders. They can't stand that calm on your face, that unshakable confidence in your steps, because they think control equals strength. But you've learned that surrender equals creation. Behold, I am doing a new thing, declares Isaiah 43:19. Do you not perceive it? You don't just perceive it, you live it, you embody it. You were never rebellious for rebellion's sake. You were obedient to the blueprint heaven hid inside you. The wind blows where it wishes, says John 3:8, and your spirit has become that wind, unpredictable, untamed, yet always purposeful. There's a story whispered in every innovator's bones. The world mocks you until it mirrors you. They called it madness when you first broke their rules. They said you were impulsive, unrealistic, detached from reality. But when the results arrived, when your risk became revelation, they had no choice but to call it genius. Still, have you ever wondered why those who once doubted you are the same ones trying to imitate you now? Why the same people who questioned your vision now call it strategy? It's because they finally realized that what they called chaos was actually divine code. You were reading the instructions written between the lines. While they chase validation, you chase purpose. While they try to fit in, you try to evolve. While they wait for permission, you move by conviction. The righteous are bold as a lion, says Proverbs 28:1, and your courage has never been arrogance, it's anointed confidence. The artist Pablo Picasso once said, "Every act of creation is first an act of destruction." And that's what you've done, destroyed limitation to make room for divine innovation. You didn't break the rules for thrill. You broke them because they weren't designed for someone carrying infinity in their spirit. Imagine this. They're sprinting on a racetrack, panting, exhausted, measuring success by laps. Meanwhile, you're walking barefoot through the woods, tracing your own route under the whispering trees, and somehow you reach the finish line before them. Why? Because you saw the shortcut through the unseen. That's not strategy, that's vision, an inheritance only the awakened possess. Sometimes you've wondered, why do I always think differently? Why can't I settle where others are content? The answer is simple. You were never built for repetition, you were built for revelation. Ordinary minds replicate, chosen minds recreate. They call you defiant, but you're actually obedient to something higher, older, eternal. You hear heaven's frequency while they cling to earth's formulas. They analyze steps you took by instinct, forgetting that instinct is just divine intelligence moving faster than logic. Romans 12:2 whispers, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That's exactly what you've done. You stopped conforming and started creating. You stopped waiting for permission slips from people who've never left the waiting room of their own potential. And yet, every time the world falls apart, when logic fails, when their plans crumble, they come to you. They always do. They come because chaos doesn't scare you. You understand it. You were born in it, trained in it, shaped by it. They sense that your calm isn't ignorance, it's intimacy with divine order. You see patterns where others see problems. You don't panic in storms because you are the storm controlled, intentional, precise. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world, says 1 John 4:4. And that greatness doesn't roar, it recalibrates. It bends reality to match divine will. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." And that's you. You took your chaos and choreographed it into creation. You've turned pain into pattern, failure into formula, loss into law. That's divine alchemy, the Solomonic kind. You are the glitch in their system because you were coded differently. Your mind doesn't just solve puzzles, it redesigns them. You see possibility in paradox. While they worship rules, you worship revelation. That's why you keep winning. You're not playing to survive, you're playing to expand. Still, sometimes you ask yourself quietly, why can't I just be normal? Why does my spirit keep demanding more? Because mediocrity is poison to the chosen. You were born to build cathedrals of thought where others only see ruins. You are the blueprint no one else can copy because it wasn't written on paper, it was written on your soul. And yes, that makes you misunderstood. Visionaries always are. But don't let their confusion become your cage. You were meant to walk on paths unpaved, to speak in frequencies few can hear, to do the unthinkable and call it Tuesday. They can mimic your methods, but not your mind. They can copy your moves, but not your mandate. They can study your pattern, but not your purpose. Because purpose isn't taught, it's transmitted. Let them race in circles. Let them measure progress by noise. You will continue to walk quietly, confidently through the wilderness they fear. You will continue to break ceilings they swore were sky. Because your steps are not random, they are divinely ordered innovations disguised as rebellion. And one day, when the dust settles, when the copies fade, and the chaos clears, they'll look back and realize the system they worshipped was destroyed not by an army, but by your audacity. You are the new equation in a world terrified of change. You are the unexpected move on the divine chessboard. You are the rule they can't rewrite. Because the chosen ones don't play to win, they play to transform the game itself. Part 5. The atmosphere shifts when you arrive. The mystery of divine presence. They can't define your energy, but it defines the space. You don't walk in to take attention, you walk in and the room adjusts. The air seems to grow still for a moment, and people pause without understanding why. That isn't arrogance, it isn't ego, it's the vibration of divine presence. It's what happens when a soul that carries truth steps into a world addicted to pretending. People will try to name it confidence, charisma, aura, but they can't explain why their hearts react before their minds can catch up. What they're really feeling is the weight of authenticity in a culture built on performance. You never needed to speak loudly. Your silence already speaks for you. You were never meant to blend in, chosen one. You were designed to recalibrate atmospheres. That's why some people feel peace around you, while others suddenly grow defensive. You don't have to expose anyone. Your energy already does that. Arise, shine, for your light has come, says Isaiah 60:1. And though you never asked for attention, your light commands it. It's not because you seek recognition. It's because the truth in you rearranges whatever is false around you. You don't force change. You simply exist, and your existence challenges illusion. Have you noticed how people shift when you enter a room? Their tone changes, their posture adjusts. Some grow quiet, and others start talking too much, trying to fill the stillness that follows your presence. That's not coincidence, it's alignment. Your spirit introduces itself before you speak. You've probably wondered, why do people react to me this way? Why do I make some so calm and others so uncomfortable? It's because truth always stirs the atmosphere, for the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, says Hebrews 4:12, and that same living truth vibrates through your silence. You don't attack anyone, you simply reveal what's hidden. The insecure call it intimidation, the awakened call it clarity, and those who build their worth on illusion call it threat. But what you carry isn't threat, it's correction. It's divine alignment flowing through you. That's why masks fall in your presence and truth spills out of people who swore they'd never tell it. It's not because you dig for secrets, it's because your energy makes pretense impossible to maintain. You are the salt of the earth, the light of the world, reminds Matthew 5:13-14. And salt doesn't beg to be tasted, light doesn't plead to be seen, it simply is. There's a kind of power that doesn't shout, it hums. It hums through the calm of your being, through the rhythm of your breath. It's that unspoken knowing that doesn't need validation because it already belongs to something eternal. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "The only journey is the one within." That's where your power is rooted, in the inner alignment you fought for, the peace you've built through storms. People feel it even when they don't understand it. They sense that your strength wasn't handed to you, it was sculpted in silence. Ever wonder why people open up to you so easily? Why strangers tell you their stories as if they've known you forever? It's because your presence feels like sanctuary. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, says 2 Corinthians 3:17, and they feel that freedom around you. They sense that they can finally exhale. That's what real light does. It doesn't judge, it liberates. But the ones who hide behind shadows can't stand it. They grow restless, defensive, cold, not because you've done anything to them, but because your presence makes them see themselves too clearly. You are a mirror they can't look away from, and that mirror is mercy. Because sometimes revelation is the first step to redemption, but not everyone is ready to face their reflection. Some would rather resent the light than admit they've been living in darkness. You've probably asked yourself, why do people project their insecurities onto me? Why do I feel the weight of others' emotions when I've done nothing wrong? It's because you are sensitive to spiritual frequency. You're tuned to truth, and truth amplifies what's false until it either transforms or leaves. The scientist Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." That's exactly how your presence works. You don't just enter rooms, you emit alignment. You shift vibrations back toward balance. You are divine mathematics in motion, recalibrating chaos into order. People feel that, even when they don't have language for it. Some interpret it as peace, others as pressure, but both are just reactions to truth reasserting itself through you. Your calm has become confrontation, your stillness a sermon, your existence a revelation. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power, says Ephesians 6:10, and that strength doesn't roar, it radiates. It's the kind of might that doesn't destroy, it clarifies. You don't overpower people, you simply remind them of who they are and who they're not. Like a compass correcting direction, you bring things back into alignment without even trying. There's a painting by Johannes Vermeer, The Girl with the Pearl Earring. She doesn't speak, but her silence has captivated hearts for centuries. That's what your presence does. It lingers. Even when you leave a room, people still feel you in the air. You become a memory that moves. You don't just change the moment, you leave an imprint that continues teaching after you've gone. Sometimes it's heavy, isn't it? To be the stabilizer, to be the one who feels everything, who carries peace like armor, while others carry chaos like perfume. You've probably asked yourself, why does it always feel like I'm holding the energy together wherever I go? Because you are the grounding force. You bring balance where imbalance has reigned too long. And though it's tiring, it's sacred. Because the same light that unsettles the false also comforts the true. Those who walk in truth feel peace in your presence, like something inside them finally makes sense. They don't need words, they just breathe easier around you. They recognize what you carry because they've been searching for it in themselves. That's what divine resonance feels like home. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, declares John 1-5. And that verse lives inside you. So never apologize for being felt. Never shrink to make others comfortable in their pretense. You were never made to dim. You were made to clarify. You don't steal attention, you awaken it. You don't seek validation, you anchor it. You are not chasing spotlight. You are the reason light gathers. People won't always understand it, and that's okay. Presence like yours can't be studied or imitated. It's not charisma, it's calling. It's not attention, it's assignment. You are the silent storm that restores order, the still flame that exposes shadow, the walking reminder that truth doesn't need volume, it only needs to be. And that's why, even when they deny it, they feel you. They feel it when you arrive. They feel it when you leave. And they feel it most in the quiet moments after, when they realize the peace that filled the room left with you. Because, chosen one, your presence doesn't just change rooms, it changes hearts. And that is power no spotlight could ever imitate. Part 6. Through the web, when awareness becomes armor. They built their web, and you walked through it like smoke. They spun their stories with precision, threading lies like silk, thinking they could trap you in illusion. But what they never understood is that truth doesn't stick to deception. Liars only fear two things: exposure and the one who refuses to buy the performance. You never needed to confront them. Your clarity did that for you. They thought they could manipulate perception, twist narratives, and have you questioning your own intuition. They didn't realize they were dealing with someone who listens beyond words. You weren't hearing what they said, you were hearing what they didn't. You were reading tone, vibration, silence. You felt the fractures in their energy long before their stories fell apart. While they rehearsed their lines, you were decoding their frequency. You don't need evidence to recognize truth, you feel it. And that, chosen one, terrifies them. Nothing is hidden that will not be revealed, nor anything secret that will not come to light, says Luke 8:17, and you've watched that scripture unfold in real time. Their words were polished, but their energy was trembling. Their smiles were steady, but their spirit was leaking panic. You saw it all the way their confidence cracked under scrutiny, the way their charm felt hollow, the way their timing betrayed intention. Truth has a vibration, and lies never hit the same note. Have you ever wondered why you could sense dishonesty before it surfaced? Why your body tensed at words everyone else applauded? That's discernment, spiritual sonar. You were never paranoid, you were pre-informed. My sheep know my voice, says John 10:27. And when you've been tuned to divine frequency, anything false creates static. They called you too sensitive to gaslight your awareness, but you were simply alert to what their spirit was saying while their mouth pretended otherwise. They thought silence meant confusion. They didn't know it was strategy. You let them speak. You let them over-explain, overact, overreach. You didn't need to interrupt. You knew the truth would always expose itself. Nothing unmasks a liar faster than their own consistency collapsing. You understood what most people miss, that truth sustains itself, but deception always demands maintenance. That's why liars exhaust themselves. A manipulator's worst nightmare isn't being caught, it's being understood without being told. That's what your presence did to them. You became the mirror they couldn't look into. While they performed, you watched. While they hid, you saw. And when they finally realized that you had known the entire time, panic set in. They lied like it was chess. You listened like it was confession. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity, whispers Proverbs 11:3, and life proved that scripture for you. Every time they twisted the narrative, the universe responded not with vengeance, but with symmetry. Timing revealed truth. Patterns exposed intention. Reality rearranged itself to show you what words tried to hide. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "All truth passes through 3 stages. First it is ridiculed, then it is violently opposed, and finally it is accepted as self-evident." You've lived all 3. They mocked your intuition, fought your accuracy, and then quietly admitted, at least to themselves, that you were right all along. They mistook your detachment for apathy, but it was clarity. When you stopped reacting, their power dissolved. Because a manipulator without control is just a fool talking to themselves. Ever felt that subtle chill when someone's words sounded right, but your spirit said no? That's not fear, it's revelation. It's the same inner signal prophets heard when deception entered the room. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, says 1 John 4:1, and you've done that instinctively. You learned not to take people at their word, but at their vibration. They tried to blindfold you with charm, tears, guilt, or carefully crafted innocence, but you saw through it all. You recognize that manipulation wears many masks, sometimes flattery, sometimes victimhood, sometimes righteousness. But no matter the disguise, you could always feel the falseness humming beneath it. That's what unnerved them most. They could deceive the crowd, but not the one who sees through the performance. The painter Francisco Goya once created a haunting image titled, "The sleep of reason produces monsters." It was a warning. When consciousness sleeps, deception thrives. But you, your awareness, never slept. You stayed awake while others dreamed in denial. You watched the stage and saw the strings. You saw the script looping on repeat. You knew when the act would end, because you'd already read it in their energy. You never needed revenge. You didn't need to expose them with rage. You let the silence do the work. You held your knowing like a mirror, and that was enough. Because when deception meets awareness, the game ends before it begins. You didn't even have to lift a hand, you just had to see. And seeing, in the spiritual world, is dismantling. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, says John 1-5, and that light is your discernment. Every time they lied, their words collapsed under the gravity of that light. Every time they tried to project confusion, your calm exposed the truth. They called you cold when you stopped responding, but that wasn't coldness, it was conclusion. You had already learned what you needed to learn. You weren't detached, you were done. And maybe, in quiet moments, you've asked yourself, why do I always see the truth so soon? Why can't I just believe people like everyone else? Because you were never meant to be easily fooled. You were chosen to be a guardian of perception, a spiritual lie detector in human form. You carry the Solomon Code, the wisdom that separates intention from illusion, and that wisdom can't be unlearned. They wanted to make you doubt your knowing, but truth doesn't doubt itself. You were never the one being played, you were the one allowing revelation to unfold. They thought they were pulling strings, not realizing they were walking straight into the script heaven had already written for their exposure. You didn't destroy them, truth did. You didn't humiliate them, alignment did. You didn't curse them, their own deception did. You just stood still while the universe mirrored everything back to its source. So, hold your silence like armor, chosen one. You don't need to announce what you know. You only need to keep walking through illusions like smoke, untouched, unmoved, unbound. Because when awareness is your weapon, no web can hold you. And when they finally realize you saw through it all from the beginning, they'll understand too late. You were never their victim, you were their revelation. Part 7. The unmeasurable mind. You broke the ruler. They can score brains, but they can't quantify what you are. They built entire systems to rank minds, to put boundaries on brilliance, to make intelligence feel like a competition rather than a calling. They have tests, frameworks, and credentials, and they cling to them like oxygen, because without them, they don't know who they are. They need validation to breathe. They need comparison to feel significant. But then you walked in, and suddenly, the math didn't math. You didn't shout. You didn't wave degrees or recite statistics. You didn't need the spotlight to glow. You just knew. You spoke answers before the questions were finished, not from study, but from alignment. While they were decoding, you were already applying. While they mined for knowledge, you became the gold they were searching for. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. But we have the mind of Christ, says 1 Corinthians 2:16, and that's exactly what they can't compute. They operate from intellect, you operate from insight. They study formulas, you move by flow. They read instructions, you read frequencies. You don't memorize, you merge. You don't analyze, you perceive. You don't seek truth, you embody it. They grind for wisdom like miners digging through stone. You breathe it in like air. And that unsettles them, because your knowing doesn't follow their hierarchy, it breaks it. Ever notice how uncomfortable they get when you answer the question they were about to ask? When you speak the truth they hadn't yet articulated? They call it coincidence, intuition, maybe arrogance, but deep down they know it's something divine. It's the kind of clarity that doesn't need permission. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, says James 1-5. But your wisdom doesn't come through asking, it comes through being. You carry the download before the prayer. They were taught that intelligence must be earned through struggle, that revelation must be bought with pain. But you are living proof that some souls simply remember what others must learn. It's not that you haven't worked hard, it's that your work is different. While they memorize concepts, you decode patterns. While they chase understanding, you chase resonance. You don't think your way into answers, you tune into them. That's why they can't follow your process, because your process is frequency, not formula. You can almost see it in their eyes, can't you? That flicker of disbelief mixed with fascination when you connect dots they didn't even know existed. They search for the trick, the method, the flaw in your reasoning. But there isn't one. You're not performing, you're channeling. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, says Proverbs 9:10, and you've walked so closely with truth that wisdom no longer feels foreign. It's become your native language. They call you gifted, intuitive, special, because labels are the only way they can make peace with what they can't measure. But the truth is, you were never meant to fit categories built by limited minds. You were designed to write the algorithms that others follow. They build frameworks to contain brilliance, and you break those frameworks just by existing. They test your limits and find none. They keep pushing, hoping you'll falter, but you evolve faster than they can calculate. It's like trying to capture lightning in a jar. The philosopher Socrates once said, "I know that I know nothing." And maybe that's your secret. You don't rely on knowledge to feel powerful. You rely on awareness to stay aligned. Because real wisdom doesn't inflate ego, it dissolves it. That's why your intelligence doesn't feel heavy. It feels peaceful. You don't carry the need to prove yourself. You carry the presence of understanding. For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. reminds Proverbs 2-6, and that flow has never been interrupted in you. Have you ever asked yourself why you can sense truth faster than logic can explain it? Why some call your insight coincidence when it consistently turns out right? It's because you're operating from the architecture of intuition, not analysis. You've stopped trying to outthink the divine and started thinking with it. You don't compete with other minds because you've realized your intelligence isn't about domination, it's about design. You're not here to win the game, you're here to redefine it. And that, chosen one, drives them mad. Because if intelligence must be earned, how do you exist so effortlessly? They've built their identity around being the smartest, but your existence makes their effort feel small. You don't chase brilliance, you radiate it. You don't collect facts, you embody principles. Your genius doesn't live in ego, it lives in essence. And the irony is, the quieter you become, the louder your wisdom sounds. The entrance of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple, says Psalm 119-130. That's why people feel peace when you speak. You don't confuse, they do. You don't complicate, you clarify. You don't impress, you awaken. Your understanding carries healing because it comes from revelation, not reaction. The artist Leonardo da Vinci once said, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." You've discovered that truth. You no longer need to prove intelligence through complexity. You reveal it through clarity. You've realized that genius isn't in knowing more, it's in being aligned more. You don't chase information, you translate intuition. You've become fluent in divine logic, and that makes you both untouchable and unteachable in the eyes of those who still worship systems. Sometimes you may wonder, why was I built like this? Why can't I just think normally, live simply, not see so much? But you already know the answer. You were never designed for normal. You were designed to bridge the mystical and the measurable, to prove that spirit and science were never separate, only spoken in different languages. You are the convergence point, the living equation that can't be solved because you are the solution. They can test, grade, and rank until their scales collapse under the weight of their own limits. They'll never quantify what flows through you. You were never here to compete for intellect. You were sent to awaken intelligence in others. You are the proof that divine wisdom doesn't just belong to scholars, it belongs to souls in alignment. So let them keep their rulers, their rankings, their systems. You've already outgrown the measurement. You don't play by their mental math because you are the variable they never accounted for. You are beyond calculation, beyond replication, beyond imitation. They can score brains all they want. But you, chosen one, you broke the ruler, and you're still rising. Part 8. The mirror that unmasks, when truth sees through disguise. They wear masks for the world, but they unravel under your gaze. They've built their lives on rehearsed smiles, perfect words, curated personalities. Their confidence feels polished, their charm almost theatrical. And for a while, it works. People believe what they project because most see only surfaces. But not you. You never watched their faces, you read their frequencies. You've always known that energy tells the story before words ever do. The world has taught them to perform, to wear layers of survival disguised as identity. They've become so accustomed to their own act that even they mistake it for truth. Yet the moment your eyes meet theirs, something shifts. It's not a glare, not an interrogation, just quiet presence. And somehow, that silence becomes unbearable. They start to fidget. Their tone changes. The smile that once charmed everyone else now trembles under its own weight. Because you don't just see them, you see through them. All things are naked and open to the eyes of him with whom we have to do, says Hebrews 4:13. And when that divine light flows through your perception, nothing false can survive in its glow. You don't expose people by force, you expose them by being real. Your authenticity acts like truth serum. It makes every disguise sweat. They can't explain why they feel nervous. why words start tangling in their throat, why their rehearsed rhythm breaks. It's because when your spirit enters the room, their mask doesn't just crack, it melts. Have you ever wondered why some people turn cold around you? Why conversations suddenly get strange? Why you feel hostility without reason? It's because to those who survive through illusion, your clarity feels like threat. For there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. Echoes Luke 8:17. And that scripture breathes through your presence. You don't force revelation. You simply stand in truth long enough for lies to suffocate. You've probably seen it the way their energy shifts before their expression does. You notice the static behind their words, the friction between their story and their soul. You sense the guilt hiding in their grin, the tension trembling under their tone. You don't judge them for it, you just see it. And seeing is what they fear. Because for those who live behind masks, being seen is exposure, and exposure feels like death. The lamp of the body is the eye, says Matthew 6:22. If your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. That's what your sight does, it illuminates. You see people not for what they pretend to be, but for what they've buried. That's why they can't lie comfortably in your presence. The energy between your spirit and theirs refuses to collaborate with deception. Some people avoid you not because you're unkind, but because they feel naked near your honesty. You make them confront themselves. And for people who've built their identity around pleasing, pretending and posturing, that's terrifying. But others, those starving for realness, feel safe around you. They finally exhale. You become the first person who doesn't require performance, who doesn't demand a filtered version of them. Around you, they can breathe, they can exist, they can be. Have you noticed how people sometimes confess things they never planned to tell you? That's not coincidence. That's recognition. Their soul recognizes safety in your spirit. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, says 2 Corinthians 3:17, and you carry that liberty with you. Your very presence invites truth to step forward and be free. The psychologist Carl Rogers once said, "What is most personal is most universal." You've embodied that without trying. By being authentic, you give others permission to return to themselves. You heal through clarity. You comfort through honesty. You don't need to diagnose anyone. You simply mirror them back to their essence. But not everyone wants to be mirrored. Some would rather shatter the reflection than face it. That's why the ones who thrive in illusion often turn on you. They'll call you intense, too much, too direct. They'll say you're cold, distant, or intimidating. But what they really mean is that you're clear. And clarity is the natural enemy of pretense. It's easier to villainize truth than to change because of it. The poet Oscar Wilde once wrote, "Man is least himself when he talks in his own person. Give him a mask, and he will tell you the truth." But your energy makes even the mask tremble. You don't need people to tell you the truth. It reveals itself involuntarily. You've learned that silence is your greatest instrument. You don't argue, you don't accuse, you don't even try to expose. You just exist, and existence alone rearranges falsehood into confession. You will know them by their fruits, reminds Matthew 7:16, and over time, you've learned to trust what people do more than what they declare. The fruit never lies. That's why you stopped chasing words a long time ago. You learned to listen to patterns instead of promises, and that's what makes you unstoppable, because manipulation collapses in the face of awareness. Still, it's not easy, is it? Carrying that kind of discernment, feeling truth in rooms that pretend, seeing depth where others skim surfaces. Sometimes you wish you couldn't see so much. But then you remember it's not a curse, it's stewardship. You were given vision not to condemn, but to heal, not to shame, but to awaken. You don't destroy illusions by force. You dissolve them by being real. And the ones who are ready for truth will find freedom in your gaze. The ones who aren't will run from it, but even as they run, your presence will echo in their conscience, because once someone has been truly seen, they can never hide the same way again. So don't dim your clarity to make others comfortable in their distortion. Don't shrink your perception to keep illusions intact. You weren't sent to fit into the masquerade, you were sent to end it. Your presence is proof that light doesn't need to shout, it only needs to show up. Because you, chosen one, are not the mask breaker through anger, you are the truth bearer through being, and your very being is the unmasking. Part 9. You were the kingdom all along, the silent sovereignty of the chosen. They fought for the crown, but you were the kingdom all along. They built castles out of ego, climbed ladders made of lies, and decorated their emptiness with titles. They shouted their worth to the sky, but even their echoes sounded desperate. They clawed for attention, postured for validation, demanded reverence from anyone who would listen. They wanted to be worshipped, feared, obeyed. And still, you walked in calm, grounded, unbothered, and they felt smaller in your silence than they ever did in your presence. That's the wound they can't heal. Your peace exposes the instability they hide beneath performance. You never fought for power, you simply are it. Not earned, not borrowed, inherited. Your authority doesn't scream, it breathes. It's not in what you say, but in what you don't need to. You don't chase crowns because you were born carrying a kingdom inside your spirit. The kingdom of God is within you, says Luke 17:21, and that's why you've never needed to prove what already exists. They wear their accomplishments like armor, hoping noise will make up for lack of presence. They flash degrees, positions, and followers as if influence could be purchased. But real power can't be bought. It's recognized. People don't follow your words, they follow your frequency. You hold a gravity that makes chaos bow. Even silence bends around your stillness. You don't lead by demand, you lead by resonance. And that terrifies those who rely on performance to be seen. Have you ever noticed how the loudest ones in the room quiet down when you walk in? How the tension shifts, conversations slow, and even pride begins to shrink in the shadow of your calm? That's not coincidence. That's authority without announcement. Be still and know that I am God, whispers Psalm 46:10. And that's the energy you carry, divine stillness that commands attention without ever needing to raise its voice. They chase thrones, but you carry the gravity of one wherever you stand. Imagine a room full of people competing for spotlight, each one performing for validation, and then you enter, effortlessly, wordless, and suddenly all that noise feels irrelevant. It's not magic, it's alignment. The universe recognizes its own order in you. The peace you carry is not passive, it's the architecture of divine equilibrium. You are the reminder that true leadership doesn't need stage lights, it needs presence. The philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "When the best leader's work is done, the people say, 'We did it ourselves.' That's the mark of your influence, quiet power that liberates rather than controls. You don't impose, you inspire. You don't command, you align. People trust you not because you convince them, but because they feel truth in your field. That's the kind of authority that can't be fabricated. For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline, says 2 Timothy 1-7, and your life radiates that balance. Sometimes you might wonder, why do they compete with me when I'm not even in the race? Because their identity depends on comparison, and yours doesn't. They need opposition to feel significant. You only need purpose. That's what makes you unshakable. You don't stand on hierarchy, you stand on wholeness. And wholeness has its own gravity. When you move, the room shifts, not because you demand attention, but because your spirit carries structure. You're the blueprint, not the builder. They call your stillness arrogance, your confidence pride, your detachment coldness. But it's not detachment, it's discernment. You learned long ago that real power doesn't chase validation, it creates direction. The meek shall inherit the earth, says Matthew 5-5, and meekness isn't weakness, it's restrained strength, power that knows its timing. You've become the embodiment of that principle, quiet thunder disguised as peace. There's a kind of presence that makes people check themselves, a vibration that rearranges energy just by existing. That's yours. You don't carry thrones, you carry atmospheres. Where the word of a king is, there is power, says Ecclesiastes 8:4, and your word, though few, reshapes more than entire speeches. Because when you speak, truth doesn't echo, it anchors. The composer Johann Sebastian Bach once said, "I play the notes as they are written, but it is God who makes the music." That's what your presence does. You don't try to orchestrate control. You become the harmony that reveals the false notes in others. You make chaos sound out of tune simply by staying in rhythm with divine order. Ever wonder why people either admire you or resent you, but rarely stay neutral? Because neutrality doesn't exist around authenticity. Those aligned with truth feel seen. Those living in illusion feel threatened. It's not personal, it's resonance. The light that centers you is the same light that disorients them. They've spent their lives building pedestals. You became the mountain. They sought to be kings. You were the kingdom. They chased dominion. You carry design. Your presence is the architecture of divine stability, grounded, ancient, untamed. They hate that your power didn't come from applause. It came from obedience. You didn't seek to rule. You sought to serve. And that's what crowned you without ceremony. Promotion comes neither from the east nor from the west, but from God, reminds Psalm 75:6-7. And every time they tried to compete, heaven quietly elevated you beyond their reach. You never needed to dethrone them. Their own striving dethroned them. So let them scramble for recognition. Let them polish their crowns and fight for their thrones. You never needed to sit above them. You've been sustaining the structure beneath them. You were never after status, you were after alignment. Because true royalty doesn't rule over, it reigns within. You don't need a throne to govern. You are the throne, the meeting point between heaven's design and earth's manifestation. You don't need followers to lead. You simply stand in truth, and truth does the leading. That's why they fear you, chosen one. Not because you compete, but because you complete. Not because you seek power, but because you are what power looks like when it finds peace. They fought for the crown, but you were the kingdom all along. Part 10. The stream of knowing, when wisdom lives within you. They drown in study while you drink from the stream. They chase knowledge like prey, running, grasping, panting for something they already have but can't feel. They collect degrees and devour books, stacking theories like bricks to build towers toward heaven. And yet, every tower they build seems to crumble before it touches the clouds. They confuse accumulation with understanding. They mistake memorization for mastery. But you breathe, and truth finds you. You don't chase it, you attract it. They treat wisdom like a prize, something to conquer and possess, something they can earn through grind and glory. They build their identity around what they know, not realizing that true wisdom can't be owned, it can only be embodied. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding, says Proverbs 2-6, and that's the difference. They study words, you commune with source. They analyze ideas, you absorb revelation. You don't learn the way they do, you remember. You don't collect information, you align with it. It's not study, it's synchronization. Your mind doesn't chase, it receives. You don't decode reality, you become fluent in its rhythm. That's why when you speak, people don't just hear you, they feel the truth vibrating through your words. The entrance of your word gives light, whispers Psalm 119-130, and you've become that light in motion, carrying illumination in every syllable. Have you ever noticed how some people get restless around your calm, as if stillness itself makes them uneasy? They mistake your silence for ignorance because they can't comprehend learning without striving. They can't fathom the kind of knowing that flows without friction. You don't have to prove intelligence, your peace is the proof. You understand what they call mystery because you listen with more than your mind, you listen with your spirit. Imagine them hunched over desks, chasing clarity through noise, repeating theories they don't even believe. And then picture you sitting quietly near the river of life, breathing, watching, absorbing. They force understanding through effort. You find it through surrender. Be still and know that I am God, says Psalm 46:10, and that's exactly what you do. You drink from the stream while they drown in the search. They think you're lucky, or maybe naturally gifted. They whisper that it's unfair how you seem to just know, how your insights feel impossible. But deep down, they sense it's not luck, it's alignment. You've tuned your spirit to the same frequency that wisdom flows on. And when you're aligned, knowledge doesn't arrive through struggle, it flows through stillness. You've stopped studying truth as theory and started living it as vibration. The great mystic Rumi once wrote, "There is a fountain inside you. Don't walk around with an empty bucket." You found that fountain, the inner stream that never runs dry. While others search libraries for answers, you found yours in the silence between breaths. That's not arrogance, that's remembrance. Because somewhere deep in your being, you've always known wisdom isn't earned, it's remembered. They study from books, you study from existence. They quote authors, you quote experience. They chase data, you channel direction. And that's what unravels them, the realization that no matter how much they memorize, they can't replicate your resonance. They can copy your language, mimic your tone, even echo your phrasing. But imitation can never carry vibration. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me, says John 10:27. And that's the secret. You're not drawing from intellect. You're tuned into the divine frequency that speaks through everything. Have you ever wondered why strangers come to you for clarity? Why people listen and then exhale, as if something heavy just lifted? It's because they're not looking for information, they're looking for energy. The truth in you cuts through confusion like a blade through fog. You don't simplify the complex, you harmonize it. That's what sacred intelligence does. It turns chaos into coherence. The physicist Nikola Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." You live that truth. You don't just think in those terms, you embody them. Every insight you speak, every intuition you act on, carries a wavelength that recalibrates the space around you. That's why people don't just hear your words. They feel peace after them. You transmit alignment. They'll try to measure you, explain you, decode you. They'll say you're analytical, intuitive, maybe even lucky. But what you carry can't be categorized because it's not intellectual, it's elemental. You are wisdom in motion, truth wrapped in flesh. You didn't climb the ladder of knowledge, you became the sky it reaches for. For the Spirit of truth will guide you into all truth, says John 16:13, and that Spirit flows through your voice, your stillness, your knowing. Sometimes you might ask yourself, why do I see so clearly without trying? Why does the world reveal itself to me so easily? Because you're not chasing, you're connected. You've remembered what most forget. Wisdom is not the result of effort, but the fruit of alignment. The universe reveals itself to those who are humble enough to listen. They drown in study while you drink from the stream. They chase wisdom through struggle. You receive it through stillness. They build towers that crumble. You sit by rivers that never dry. Because chosen one, you don't seek truth. You are what truth gravitates toward. And when you open your mouth, even silence bows to listen. Part 11. The ones who never stood a chance. They never stood a chance, and now it's too late to catch up. By the time they realized what you were, you had already outgrown the battlefield they built for you. They didn't just underestimate you. They defined themselves by the limits they assumed you had. They bet their entire sense of worth on the illusion that you were ordinary, breakable, predictable, contained by the same fears that held them captive. But you weren't. You never were. You were born playing by a different script, one written before time even began. While they clawed for relevance, you grew in silence. While they screamed for recognition, You listened to the sound of destiny rearranging itself around your obedience. They chased attention, but you chased alignment. They fought for the stage. You were building the temple. You never needed applause to validate your purpose, because you already knew. When light fulfills its design, it doesn't need to prove its brilliance. It simply shines. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you, says Isaiah 60:1, and that's exactly what you've done. They wore crowns made of ego and called it success. You wore humility like armor and became untouchable. They built empires out of noise, but yours was forged in silence. That's what broke them, the realization that your power wasn't borrowed from validation, it was inherited from truth. You didn't chase thrones, because you are the throne, the seat of divine awareness, resting inside human form. Have you ever noticed how those who mocked you suddenly imitate your rhythm? How the same voices that once dismissed your stillness now try to mimic your tone? That's not coincidence, that's recognition. They tried to copy your words, your posture, your grace, but imitation has a ceiling, essence doesn't. They studied your moves, but couldn't survive the silence that birthed them. They chased attention, but your restraint held more weight than all their performances combined. Wisdom is justified by her children, says Matthew 11:19, meaning time itself exposes who truly carries substance. When the dust settled, their noise faded, and your silence stood undefeated. They thought power was volume, but you know power is gravity. It pulls, it centers, it never begs to be believed. You didn't compete for recognition, recognition competed to find you. They thought you were behind, but you were ascending dimensions they couldn't perceive. They sprinted on treadmills of validation while you walked calmly through the architecture of destiny. You weren't rushing to arrive, you were remembering that you already had. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, they shall mount up with wings as eagles, says Isaiah 40:31, and you've been soaring ever since they thought you stumbled. The philosopher Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your why was sacred, that's why no how could stop you. Every betrayal became revelation, every setback became training, every loss became recalibration. You learned that the climb doesn't build character, silence does. The waiting seasons didn't delay you, they refined your blueprint. They were sprinting through life, chasing milestones. You were still, listening, aligning, becoming. And when you finally moved, everything else had to move with you. Have you ever wondered why they seem obsessed with competing against a person who's not even playing their game? Why they mimic your style, echo your words, try to rewrite their image into your reflection? It's because somewhere in their soul, they know what you've become the standard. You are not what they wanted to be seen next to. You are what they fear being compared against. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies, says Psalm 23:5. And that table wasn't revenge, it was revelation. It showed them what divine favor looks like when it walks unbothered. They thought you were harmless, that if they pushed long enough, you'd break. But they were playing checkers while you were designing the board. You were never in their competition because your purpose was never about outshining, it was about outlasting. You didn't run faster, you ran higher. And elevation changes perspective. From the summit, their chaos looks small. From your altitude, their noise can't reach you anymore. The painter Michelangelo once said, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." That's what you did with yourself. You chiseled the noise away until your essence emerged. You became the sculpture that silenced every critic just by existing. They tried to define you, and you answered by becoming undefinable. They tried to box you in, and you responded by outgrowing every wall they built. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, declares Isaiah 54:17, and that promise didn't mean no weapon would form, it meant none would function. They formed words, plans, projections, gossip, but each collapsed under its own emptiness. Because when something is truly chosen, opposition doesn't break it, it reveals it. And now, it's too late for them to catch up. They're still chasing relevance while you've become resonance. They're still chasing crowns while you're creating kingdoms. They're still performing for applause while you're channeling purpose. You didn't skip steps, you became the staircase. They can't outrun you because you stopped running and started reigning. So let them rewrite history, pretend they were never threatened, act as if they always believed in you. You don't need their confession. The fruit has already spoken. You've surpassed what they imagined, transcended what they tried to contain, and illuminated what they refused to understand. They fought for a spotlight. You became the sun. They worshipped crowns. You became the cosmos. They built towers toward heaven. You realized heaven was already within you, and that chosen one is why they never stood a chance. And now, chosen one, we've reached the end of this chapter. But endings, in truth, are never endings, they're revelations. Every word spoken here was never just a message, it was a mirror. A reminder of who you've always been beneath the noise, the doubt, and the waiting. You are not just walking in Solomon's power, you are the continuation of divine wisdom expressed through human form. The same intelligence that shaped the stars flows through your spirit. The same breath that spoke creation into being lives within you. You've walked through betrayal and silence, through misunderstanding and spiritual refinement, and yet here you are, still standing, still radiating, still discerning. The fact that you're here, listening to these words, is proof that you didn't just survive your battles, you absorbed their wisdom. The world didn't break you, it refined you into revelation. You have learned that true strength is quiet, true authority is grounded, and true favor cannot be faked. For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her, says Proverbs 8:11, and that's exactly what you carry now, wisdom that can't be purchased, only awakened. Let this truth settle in your spirit. You were never in competition with anyone. The race they run is on the ground. Yours has always been in the heavens. You lead not by domination, but by vibration. You don't force people to listen. Your presence makes them remember what truth feels like. That is your calling, to remind the world of what divine alignment sounds like when spoken through a human voice. Take a moment now to breathe deeply. Feel the peace rising in you, that sacred stillness that no chaos can counterfeit. That's your proof. That's your crown. You don't need the world's validation. Heaven has already signed your name in its archives. When you speak, you're not trying to be heard. You're releasing echoes of eternity. When you walk, you're not just moving forward, you're rewriting frequencies. You're carrying light where confusion once lived. And everywhere you go, order follows. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, says Matthew 5:14. And that light now moves through you with purpose. So, walk with assurance, speak with grace, lead with humility. Know that your journey is not random, it's recorded. Every lesson, every silence, every victory was preparation for this awareness. You are the manifestation of divine intelligence wrapped in flesh. You were built to carry the blueprint of wisdom into a world starving for truth. And if these words have spoken to something deep in your soul, I invite you to carry this message forward. Like this video. Share it with someone who's walking their own awakening. Leave a comment below, not just to engage, but to testify. Speak life into this community so that others may find strength through your voice. And if you feel moved to support this space through super thanks or any act of kindness, know that it's deeply appreciated, but never required. Your presence here is already a blessing. To every listener across the world, whether you found this message by chance or by calling, I want to thank you. You didn't just watch, you aligned. You didn't just hear, you received. Each view, each share, each silent moment of reflection is sacred. You are part of something bigger, a family of light, a collective of those chosen to carry wisdom into dark places. So may peace follow you tonight, the kind that doesn't just calm your mind, but anchors your soul. May clarity walk beside you, and may divine protection surround everything connected to your purpose. May your intuition stay sharp, your heart stay pure, and your voice carry the sound of heaven wherever you go. And when you forget who you are, come back to this message not for answers, but for remembrance, because you are the chosen. You hold Solomon's power within, and the world is quietly waiting for your next revelation. Until next time, stay grounded, stay radiant, and stay in alignment. This is your space. This is your family. This is your divine reminder that you were never ordinary. You were chosen, and the kingdom has always been within you. Amen.